Are you ready to discover your power with channeling truth? Because today we're talking about perception again, part 2. Stay tuned. Welcome back to another video about perception. I decided to do a part 2 because there is actually a lot to talk about it, and perception actually leads into many other aspects of creating your reality. So before I get into talking about creating your own reality and how you can do that, I wanted to talk a little bit more about perspective so that way you have a full understanding before we get into manifestations. After making the last video, I thought to myself, many people might ask, how do they change their perspective to enhance their perception of reality? Well, in this video, I want to touch on some ways that you can do that and why you can do that. So first, know that it can be different. Your reality can be different from where you are, from how you're seeing it. It can be different. Don't get stuck in the loop that tells you that things can't change or things have to stay the way they are. There's nothing that has to stay the way it is, and it always can change. So don't keep in that same mindset that change can't happen. It can be different. Next, see something different. No matter what your situation is, what you don't want in your reality, see something different. Take that thing that you're seeing and see it as something different. Allow it to be there. See it as something that maybe you didn't think of before. And then next, feel something different. When something in your reality has upset you or caused a negative emotion inside of you, try to change to the way that is making you feel. So if you feel like your house is messy and it's really aggravating you, try to look at it in a different way. Try to view it not as a messy house, but as a lived-in house. Try to find different ways to look at things so that you're looking at the positive aspects of them instead of the negative aspects of them. And know that knowing, seeing, and feeling is truth. So you can't walk around looking at something, thinking in your mind that it's different, but not believing that it's different. They all have to be connected in order for it to be true. So know, see, and feel that your reality can be different. So what in your reality do you want to change? Is it contrast? Is it a messy room? Is it a messy relationship? You cannot force change to happen. You have to allow in order for change to happen. You have to appreciate the things that are coming to you in order for change to happen. It's just the law of the universe. It's just how the universe works. No matter what kind of contrast you're in or experiencing in your reality, you can ask these questions to help guide you to the answer, the reason, or the new manifestation that you want to create. So first thing that you want to identify is whether you're the co-creator or the creator. Now, when you're dealing with a situation, even an argument, both of you could be creators. Both of you could be co-creators. The creator might be somebody watching your argument. The reason why it happened might be for somebody else watching the argument. Maybe you two are fighting because you're co-creating that fight so somebody else can watch it. But that doesn't mean that there's not something in it for you. As a co-creator, you might ask, what lesson is here for me? What kind of message am I being sent, or I need to learn from this? Or is just merely a way of the universe making me more aware of my actions and how they affect my reality? If you're the creator, you might want to ask, does this go on to a deeper level? Is there something beyond this that I need to learn, that I need to grow from? Is it a major growing point for me into changing my reality? Or just quite simply, what lessons are here for me? What message is being sent to me? What is the universe trying to say? What does this say about my life? What does this say about my reality? Or my relationships? Or my job? Or my family? Or my cleanliness or organization? Or me as a person? What does this say? Don't worry if the messages don't come to you right away. If there's a message in the contrast that the universe is trying to tell you, you will receive that message. And it will continue to keep creating that scenario for you to receive that message. So if you're one of those people who always has certain things happen to them, or something always happens to them, or you're always attracting these kind of people, stop. You're just on a one-way train. And until you stop and recognize these things, what message is here for me? What does this say about me? Is this a major life turning point for me? Until you stop and ask those questions, your train is not going to stop. You're going to keep creating the way you're creating, and your reality is going to be the way it is, because you're not stopping the train and saying, wait a second, I think I'm getting a message. I think I'm receiving this now. Let me think about this and see what this means to me. So focus on the answers and focus on what's behind the glass and not what's in front of it. Kind of like the Wizard of Oz. Focus on the man behind the curtain and not the curtain. Because you don't want to focus on the argument, because all that's going to do is cause more argument and cause more reason for you to want to be in that argument. Because you need to prove your point, or you need to get your message across to this other person. It's not about the message to that other person. It's not about proving your point. It's that there's a message in there for you, and you need to be listening to that. You need to focus on that. And if you focus on that, the man behind the curtain, if you focus on beyond the contrast, you will receive whatever that's supposed to be telling you. See contrast for what it is. It's learning about self. It's expanding the universe. You're learning more and growing. And that is beautiful. So contrast is not to be feared or be angry about. We should go with it and flow with it. Because no matter what kind of situation that you're in, no matter what demographic you have, no matter if somebody throws you in a bubble wrap and keeps you forever, you're gonna get contrast. It's just what it is. And it's beautiful because we're constantly throwing things at us to learn about ourselves. Or you're constantly being thrown into situations to help other people learn about themselves. On my spiritual journey, I started calming down a lot more and not getting so upset in certain situations that normally would just like tick me off and I would get so angry. And I wasn't really doing that anymore. I was much calmer in just understanding how reality works. There really was no reason to get upset. You know, when I was getting contrast, there was no really reason to get upset about it. I was just asking myself these questions and figuring out what it means and then going from there. And then it was over. And always, I'll tell you, always, when I figured out the true meaning of what that contrast was, it never happened again. Never happened again. I actually told my daughter the other day that because, you know, parents have little tiffs, they have disagreements, they raise their voices at each other, they just, you know, parents have contrast with each other. They just do. All parents do. I don't care who you are, you do. And if you don't, you need to open your eyes because I'm sure the other person is feeling the same way. And you're just like blind to it. But anyway, relationships are going to have contrast and you're going to have like little tiffs and it's just going to happen because you have different opinions and everything. But I told her the other day that there is no way my husband and I will ever have an argument again. There's no way it will ever happen again. And she's like, how can you be so sure? You guys fight sometimes. And I said, we did. And, you know, we will disagree, but it'll never be a fight. It'll always be a discussion. And when that discussion is done, it will be done. There will be no fights. There will be no hurt feelings. There will be no painful contrast, because I now realize what contrast is. And when I'm experiencing that contrast with somebody else, I can step back and look at it almost from an outer perspective and figure out what it's trying to tell me. And instead of fighting back with my words, I go inside and I think, what does this mean? I let things come out, but I have more control of it. But I really go internal and I try to figure out what it could possibly mean. What should I be focusing on? Because this mouthing back and forth with these words isn't really getting anywhere. It must be something more. And you know what? It is. It always is. And now I can say on my life that my husband and I will never have another argument. We will have discussions and we will have disagreements, but we will never have another argument, because it won't happen. It can't happen, because I will no longer ever be a vibrational match to that, because I've now figured out why that was, and it doesn't have to happen anymore. I've got that message. Message received. Thank you. Moving on. So you have to open your eyes to the fact that contrast is here for a reason, and you're here for a reason, and that contrast is helping you develop who you're supposed to be. And it can be painful. Heck, it is painful. It's always painful until you figure it out, and then it's not so bad. And once you're on this trip of understanding reality and knowing how reality really works, when you go through contrast, you're not going to have severe contrast moments, because you just won't be a vibrational match to that. Yeah, there's going to be situations here and there, but you're not going to be put on this hate train of constant baggage put on you and constantly being cut and stabbed in the back. You will be much happier, and when you experience contrast, it won't feel as painful. And maybe it's going to be hard to swallow, but your non-physical self is not in pain when it experiences your contrast. It is allowing your contrast. It is allowing your contrast to unfold, so that way it can unfold you to be who you really need to be, and to be present on this earth at this moment now, being exactly who you're here to be. Abraham, with Esther and Jerry Hicks, always says that he's here to help people into the vortex without croaking. So get into a high vibrational state and get into the vortex without actually dying. But he also talks about how life is a journey, and you should experience that journey. And on your journey, you're going to have contrast. It's going to help you find out what you want and what you don't want. And it's going to help you with your beliefs. And that is what shapes your reality, your perception. Again. And it is how you perceive all of this that will change the severity of it. I guarantee you. When you start down this path, you will notice your contrast changing. You really will. It may not happen right away, and you may still have bits of contrast that don't go away, because there's still messages in there. There's still reasons why that's happening, but you have to have faith that they're happening for a reason. So this is an example of how you can change your reality, and how you can and how you do change it. So it's to understand where it all really comes from. So there's many situations in the universe that we're living in that this kind of thing happens. And it's really, those things are here to show us how the universe really works and how reality really works. And it all happens inside. And everything that is around you and everything that you are is happening internally. And everything that you see and everything that you run into is all happening internally. You cannot experience things if you are not a vibrational match to them. You cannot experience things if you don't focus on them in your reality. It just won't happen. And here is an example of that in a different way. Okay, I'll try. Hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. Okay. So when somebody touches your skin or touches your hair, you think you feel that on your skin or in your hair, but it's actually not. Your nerves in your skin are sending messages to your brain, and your brain is interpreting those messages, which are really all just vibrations. So your brain is interpreting those vibrations, those nerves sending those messages. And that is where you feel the pain or feel the sensation. So a lot of people have discovered how to control this aspect of them. You hear that guy out there that's sitting in like chilly water. I don't remember his name, but I've seen him out on YouTube. He sits in like really cold water and controls his body temperature. This is how he does it, because he understands the concept of the thinking brain, really, and how that you can control it. You can control the sensations. So if you can control how it feels when somebody touches you, so somebody can touch you, just a little tap, and it can hurt like you were cut in half. Or somebody can touch you and it will feel light as a feather. And that all happens based on how you perceive that touch. And so if you can control how you perceive a touch in your head, that is how you manifest, and that is how you warp reality, is by doing the same thing. It is by how you're perceiving it. It's what you're focusing on. I'll tell you another quick example of that same kind of pain. If anybody's ever heard of like tapping, there's like different ways you can do it. I know there's like meditative tapping that you can do, but I learned a while ago about tapping when somebody's experiencing pain. Because if somebody is under pain and they feel like a tapping somewhere else on their body, it can help them to not feel the pain that they're experiencing. Sorry if you can hear the rain. We're getting a little storm right now, and it sounds absolutely gorgeous. So I was at the dentist with my daughter. Of course, my oldest daughter teaches me so many lessons, and I'm so grateful for that. So watch out for your children, because they're here to teach you too. Seriously. But we were at the dentist, and she was getting a new tooth was coming up, and then the tooth was on top, and it was stuck on her skin. Her skin had grown on top of her tooth and was like attached to her tooth. So when the dentist was trying to pull her tooth out, it was stuck to the skin. Now they numbed her up really good and tried to like numb the area, but I don't know how good they can numb that skin directly attached to her tooth. Because I don't know about you, but when I get my teeth like drilled or something, I don't feel anything until they hit like a nerve, or they like expose a nerve, and then it hurts like the dickens, but there's no like nerve in your tooth. But the sensation of the skin pulling away from the tooth was very painful, and the Novocaine was not touching it because I don't think it could get that close to the tooth. Maybe, I'm not sure. But anyway, so they were tugging on the tooth, and then I was like, oh, I just got like a urge to like tap her foot, and to do this, and this is like my higher self and my spirit guides trying to help me to calm my daughter down, because they knew that I was in a lot of pain too, and I was experiencing her pain. So they're trying to send me messages to do for her, to help her. So I went and I started tapping her foot, and I'm like, honey, I'm like, just listen, feel my foot. Do you feel my hand on your foot? I'm like, focus on that. Don't worry about anything else. Close your eyes and focus on my hand. Focus on it like it's the only thing that's there. Focus on it really hard. And I kept talking to her the whole time, and then her body just immediately relaxed. And then pop, they pulled the tooth out. And there was pressure, she said, when they pulled the tooth out, but there was no pain. There was no pain because the pain was only there in her mind. That's why the Novocaine wasn't doing anything, because the pain was only existed in her reality. So as soon as she changed her reality, she focused on something that wasn't the pain went away because the pain wasn't really there. It was just being focused upon, and that's why it was there. So she focused on something different. And that's what you have to do. When you're experiencing something like that, you have to focus on something different. Sometimes you get experiences that tell you something is wrong. You know, if you get pain in your body, you know, if you get a tummy ache, you know, obviously something is wrong and you need to listen to those messages. You know, focusing on something different isn't going to make that message go away. You know? So you do have to sometimes sit with the pain and allow it, listen for the message, figure out what it's trying to tell you, but then allow that message to be true, and then focus on something different. Focus on something that's true. Focus something that you want to be true and make it true. Well, that was my video about perception part 2. If you haven't watched the first one, please go ahead and I'll link it at the end of my video here so you can watch it, or I'll tag it in the front so you can watch it. I guess you would have seen that already. Okay, but anyway, please watch the first one if you haven't watched it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Just remember that reality is yours to discover. Reality is here to experience. Life is a journey. You're journeying through this life. You're going to experience contrast. You're going to experience creation. You're going to experience co-creation. You're molding your reality, and it's a beautiful thing. Allow it. Allow it. Let it be. Live with it. Understand it. Get to know it. Listen to it. The universe is not trying to keep anything from you. The universe wants you to know. The universe wants you to know about reality. All of these people out there talking about this and talking about this kind of subject, none of them are here not trying to get this message out. We're trying to get these messages out because the universe really wants you to know. Your higher selves really want you to know. Your spirit guides really want you to know. They really want you to know that you create your own reality. They really want you to know that it is your perspective, your perception, and your focus that creates your reality. Okay? Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Find me out on Facebook, Channeling Truth, Instagram, Channeling Truth. I'll keep trying to post videos about this kind of thing. If you like it, please like it, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Namaste.